I'm going to make this video as short as I possibly can. God gave this to me with the whole point and purpose to put me in someone else's shoes, and this dream has a lot to do with someone who is a drug abuser and someone who's an addict, okay? Like, I myself know what it's like to be an addict. I was an alcoholic, and I did pop pills while I was an alcoholic. So, and I also smoked, nicotine cigarettes for years and years. I know a little bit about being an addict, but when it comes to drugs like meth and heroin, things like that, I don't have experience. I don't know the stronghold that that has on a person, but I can somewhat guess. Because I understand what it's like, what the body feels like when it's just aching to get that drug, It feels like it's dying, and then all the side effects and all the symptoms that come along, with the drug addict when their body is suffering because they're not getting what their body is crying out for, okay? I understand what it feels like to have withdrawals. Believe me, I've been there several times in my own addictions when I was addicted. So, like, I understand that part of it because I went through that. As an alcoholic, I felt like my body was drying up. I got the shakes. I was sick, and it was horrific. But in saying that, God used that experience to get me to cling to Him, okay? Like, really cling to Him, because He was my hope, and I was determined to fight. I was determined to apply God's counsel and get through that. And because I did, because I cried out to God for help, He helped me through it. And because I applied His counsel. In this dream, I'm a mother who has a young child and who is married. And these people are stuck, like, in a small house, and the husband is very controlled and in submission by the wife, and the child, I remember, was probably like maybe 5 or 6, and the wife is the real addict here, who's like controlling the family and controlling the whole situation around her addiction, okay? In this dream, it's like God put me in the shoes of a meth addict, and I felt the things that she was doing to her body. I felt the emotional stress of it all, the physical stress of it all, and just the bondage, right, of it all. While I was hovering above her, watching her go through these things, I was feeling all her emotions. And I was feeling all the emotions of her child and all the emotions and stress of her husband. So I got to, like, have discernment and understanding of what each one is suffering and the battle that each one was going through because of this meth addiction of the mother. To my knowledge, in this dream, it started off with these two falling in love, but then they turned to alcohol and drugs and meth. Okay, that's what this was. Their life was controlled by meth, and through all of that, they had a child together. And it just so happens that the father had to be clean a lot because he was the one who was providing for the family. So he had to go to work, and there were drug tests that he was having to take. So he wasn't dabbling in drugs as deep and as far as the wife was, as they had at one time, because he had to provide for his family. So there were so many other influences too in their life of friends that they were hanging out with before for many years, that it became like the norm for them to be around other alcoholics and drug users. I was taken to this scene of a room, and this little girl was saying, "Mommy, Mommy," like the blinds were closed, and she was saying, "Mommy, Mommy, take me outside, I want to play, it's a beautiful day out." And the mom was saying, "Well, honey, you know that whenever I have, a really bad migraine, Mommy can't go outside, the sun is too much for my eyes." And she was basically like pleading with her daughter, reminding her, I guess this had been a discussion that they've had many times, and you could see the girl like sad, like she was slumped over and just really sad, and was hoping that this would be the day that her mommy would take her outside. And her mom continued to say, "You know how it is, honey, when Mommy needs her medicine." And then she looked to her husband and said, "You need to go out into the car and go get my medicine because I need it really bad." And he was used to getting her medicine, her meth, and so he was like, okay, I guess they had a long night of partying or whatever, and they were sleeping in, And then he was trying to explain that he was getting his shoes on, and she was becoming more and more impatient and started snapping at him, and then started snapping at the small child. And then I saw that he wanted to hurry up and go outside just to get her to stop snapping at the small child. That was his way of like protecting the child in that moment, like just do what she says, and so that she'll just stop snapping, because she was, the little girl started crying and was sad, and so he went outside to get the drugs and to bring them back in. And then it took me to a scene where they were inside the car, because at this point she wanted to go for a car ride, the mother did. So she drug her family, into the car, and the little girl was kind of excited because she was able to go outside and see the sun and the trees and the beautiful blue sky. But then when her mom said she was going to go for a car ride, the little girl kind of got anxious. She wasn't looking forward to a car ride. She just wanted to go play in the yard with her mom, to go swing or, play games or whatever it was she wanted to do. So obviously this had happened before, to where she was anxious. She didn't want to ride in the car with mommy and daddy. Mommy was getting upset. She was impatient. She was shaky. She was saying off the wall things, while the dad was just submitting, doing everything that he could to try and keep the mother controlled in a sense of like happy, like he was feeding her flesh. And he was enabling her is what it was. And because he was scared of her. He was scared to tell her no. So they were driving, and I remember being in the car. Okay, like I said, I was her, but I was also above her, hovering like my spirits. But I felt, this is so weird, you guys, I actually tasted meth. And I've never tasted meth in real life, but it was almost like a sweet taste or smell. And in my dream, I got a second-hand high, and I remember not liking that. And the little girl started getting high because of the secondhand, smoke that was going on with her mother smoking meth. And so, like, we were stuck in this little car with the windows up, and I was getting high, and I remember thinking I need to, like, roll down these windows. And I was hoping that she would get pulled over by a police officer, because they were having, like, irrational fears now because of the high. Like, it's almost like they were both trying to avoid things that weren't there, like in the road, or things happening around them that weren't really happening, because they were so high at this point that they were scared of everything. So, but the fear that never left them was the fear of getting pulled over and getting arrested and having their drugs taken away from them. So then I remember we pulled up to a Denny's, and we sat down at a booth. And we sat there, and it was as though, like, my spirit, nobody could really see my spirit except for the waiter who came over. And he looked concerned. Okay, and again, I'm like her, but I'm also me. And she says real quickly, I need to go to the bathroom, because she wanted to do more drugs. So as she goes to the bathroom, my spirit stays, and I'm seeing everything that her child is feeling and going through, and also the man, like her husband, the father of this child. He's just kind of going along with the ride. He's not really doing anything but making sure that his wife is getting what she wants and enabling all of that behavior, at the same time trying to calm down his child and trying to be like a reasonable voice to her in moments when she's showing concern and she's scared. Now you have to remember, this child's also high too, so it was so sad, you guys. It was so sad. So the waiter showed concern. Like, to me, he saw my spirit. And then so I went into the bathroom to go and find her. Well, she wasn't there, but I became her. And I looked into the mirror, and I saw that I had been, like, my whole physical form was transformed. Like, my face was deformed. I was missing teeth. I just looked completely different, and it scared me to where I was, like, taken back. So in that moment, I felt like at my lowest low physically, and I felt to myself, being a drug addict and meth user, in spirit, I really felt the pain that a meth user and drug addict goes through, and how, like, they'll look at themselves in the mirror, and logically speaking, they know what they're doing is wrong, but it's like it's got this bondage on them. And I felt to my lowest. It's like I didn't even want to look into the mirror because I already knew that I was going to look bad, but I didn't think I was going to look that bad. And then it's like I was hearing voices from demons and from Satan telling me, you're never going to overcome this. You're not worthy of life. Look at you. You're ugly. Nobody cares about you. I mean, just all the negative thoughts you can think of. Satan was definitely pouring into my mind and heart, and I started to believe them as a meth user in this moment. And so I looked away from the mirror, and I felt the turmoil. I felt the grief that this woman had felt, and she knew that she wasn't being a good mother. She knew she wasn't being a good wife, and it's like she had dug this pit so deep for herself that she believed the lies of Satan telling her that she could never get out, that there was no hope for her. And just the whole separation, not feeling like there's any hope, not feeling like anyone loves you. And God allowed me to feel that that's what she was feeling. And it was this knowing that there was also a struggle with her flesh because she wanted to continue to feel high because she was running away from pain in her life that she was trying to mask with meth and other drugs. And it was like she was trying to make excuses to continue to feed her flesh because she believed the voices that told her that she couldn't overcome and that she wasn't worthy to be a mom or to be a wife or any of that stuff. And she just kept digging herself deeper and deeper and deeper. All the while, Satan's mocking her and reminding her of how worthless she is. So I got to feel that part of it, and I really felt sad in my heart, too, because it was like knowing that I remember how Satan used to attack me in that way when I myself was into alcohol and drugs as a mother and as a wife. And you really do get to that point where you just feel like shit, where you just feel like you could even just, commit suicide. I did get to that place in my own struggles with alcoholism to where I felt like, there were so many times when I was driving by myself and I would be like, I could just end it right now. Because the devil would just speak so much discouragement and so much hate into my heart that's what filled my heart. And I wasn't crying out to God at that time. I was running from pain, from childhood pain, to just pain that I even put on myself, of the sins that I was carrying every day and feeding my flesh day after day. And like, I know what that feels like. And so there were a few times when I literally was driving myself by myself, and I thought, I could just drive and hit this tree, just, and that'd be it for me. Then my family can live on and they would be better off without me, because that's what was spoken into my heart and mind by the devil and demons that I had living in me. And I was reminded of that same torment in this dream of this woman who had a meth addiction. There was so much going on in this dream, but what I took away from it was how God wanted to show love and compassion and mercy to anybody who is in a meth addiction, whether you're a mother, a father, a wife, a husband, that God can transform your life. It's not too late for you if you cry out to Jesus. If your heart really sincerely wants to change, you can, and God will help you, and he will help you overcome that addiction, and he will clean you up, and he will help you. Like, he will take your hand and guide you. I know that I'm a living, breathing, walking testimony of how, I thought I was going to die an alcoholic. I was absolutely sure that I was going to die of an alcoholic because that's what I believed. I believed I couldn't come out of it. And Jesus, when I cried out to God, he would tell me, believe that you can do this. I'm going to help you. I'll walk you through it. And he did. And here I am. I've been clean since 2008, I believe it was. So yeah, here I am. So I'm living proof that people can overcome their addictions with God's counsel and with his help, and that the devil just wants to take you down. He wants to take you down and beat you to a pulp and make you feel like you don't have hope. But there is hope in Jesus Christ, okay? There is hope. He can heal your heart, your mind, your soul, your body, okay? If that's thirsting after these drugs and this addiction. Thirst after Jesus Christ. Look at it like God's the good drink, okay? Go to Jesus. He will, tell him everything that you're going through. Pour out your heart to him about your pain. Ask him to help you identify all the pain that's in your heart so that you can start working on it like an onion, layer by layer, with God's help, right? He'll counsel you, he'll comfort you, he'll pour his love into you, which will also in return give you the desire to wake up the next day, to be better, to be, to become the wife that God wants you to become the mother that God sees in you, that you have in you to become. So God can take that mess, right? If you feel like your life is a mess, he can take it, and man, he can clean up. He can clean house, you guys, and he can use you as a mighty testimony to give other people hope. If you just turn to Jesus, he loves you so much. I just want to point out that there are going to be a lot of ex-alcoholics and drug addicts in paradise with God, because people cried out to him and they turned to him with all their heart, because God is not a religion. He is a real living spirit, our creator, Jesus Christ. And he came to save those who need to be saved. He came to heal the sick. He's the physician. So, yeah, I just wanted to give you hope today to know that God loves you. You can turn your situation around if you place your trust in God. And you're welcome to write me. You can email me. And I would love to encourage you however God would lead. I hope that you're having a beautiful day. Trust Jesus. Ask Jesus to help you turn away from your sin. And every day, you guys, every day, and God will walk you through it. I promise you. He's an overcomer. You can do this. You have it within you to overcome too if you place your trust in God. God bless.